We need Greenland, very importantly, for international security. We have to have Greenland. It's not a question of, do you think we can do without it? We can't.
Vance and Trump say it's all about security, and Denmark is neglecting Greenland. But there's no pressing security threat at the moment. And Denmark gives Greenland £500 million a year in subsidies. Greenlanders think it's more about Trump eyeing up their mineral wealth and what lies below the Arctic further north.
Right, so apparently we're living in a timeline where a former US president is eyeing up Greenland like it's the last Gregors on the high street, and Britain's response is crickets, actual crickets. Well, not quite crickets, more like that awkward, so anyway, energy you get when your mate asks if you fancy their dodgy business idea. Welcome back to Brit Articles, where today we're diving into the absolutely bonkers situation where the UK is being asked to pick a side between America potentially invading a NATO ally and, well, not completely torching our special relationship. Spoiler alert, it's messier than Boris Johnson's hair on a windy day. And if you're enjoying this delightful descent into geopolitical chaos, smash that subscribe button and hit the notifications bell so you don't miss when British politics inevitably gets even weirder, because trust me, it always does. So here's the tea. Donald Trump, yes, that Donald Trump, has been making noises about Greenland again. Now, for those who missed this spectacular subplot, Trump's had a thing for Greenland since his first presidency, floating the idea of buying it like it's a fixer-upper flat in Shoreditch. Denmark, who actually owns Greenland, politely told him where to stick that idea. But now, with Trump back in the political spotlight and global tensions ratcheting up faster than energy bills in winter, the conversation shifted from can we buy it to what if we just take it? And that's where things get properly mental. Enter Sir Simon Fraser, former head of the British Diplomatic Service, basically the Dumbledore of diplomacy, but with less beard and more strongly worded letters. Fraser's come out swinging, saying Britain needs to make a clear statement about this whole mess. His point, if America wants something from Greenland, maybe, just maybe, they should have a civilized conversation with Denmark, their NATO ally, rather than going full risk board game on the Arctic Circle. Revolutionary concept, I know. But here's where it gets juicy. When Home Office Minister Mike Tapp was asked whether Britain would warn Trump off potential military action against Denmark, a fellow NATO member, mind you, he basically did the political equivalent of staring at his shoes and mumbling about the weather. No clear warning, no firm stance, just vibes and vagaries. It's like watching someone try to decline a night out without actually saying no. Yeah, sounds good. Maybe, we'll see. Got a lot on. Ukraine's happening. You know how it is.
Fraser's not having it. He's calling out this ambiguity for what it is. Britain being caught between a rock and a hard Brexit. On one hand, we've got NATO principles, international law, and basic decency that says you don't invade your allies. On the other hand, we've got America, our security blanket, our trade hopeful, our please help us with Ukraine lifeline. And Britain's trying to do that thing where you agree with everyone at a party to avoid conflict, except this party involves nuclear powers and international treaties. Now, you might be thinking, surely this is all hypothetical posturing, right? America wouldn't actually invade Greenland, and normally I'd agree with you. But then Fraser mentions Venezuela, because apparently recent events there have made this whole could America actually do something wild question feel less theoretical and more hold my beer. When geopolitical analysts start connecting dots between different regions, you know things are getting properly spicy. Let's break down Britain's impossible position here. Fraser himself admits he gets why the government's being cagey. We're dependent on America for European security. That's not hyperbole, that's just facts. With Russia doing its thing and European defense spending still looking anemic, America's military umbrella is basically the only thing keeping us all sleeping soundly. Plus, there's Ukraine, where delicate negotiations are happening right now, and Britain desperately wants leverage with the Americans to ensure Ukraine doesn't get thrown under the bus in some dodgy peace deal. So Britain's playing diplomatic twister, left hand on NATO solidarity, right foot on special relationship, face pressed awkwardly against pragmatic self-interest. It's not pretty, but it's real. Fraser's disappointment is palpable. He's essentially saying, look, I understand the pressures, but come on, there's got to be a limit. And that limit, apparently, is threatening military action against Denmark over Greenland. What's particularly wild about this whole situation is that it perfectly encapsulates post-Brexit Britain's identity crisis. We've spent years banging on about sovereignty, taking back control, standing on our own 2 feet. But when push comes to shove, when we actually need to take a firm stance on international law and alliance principles, we're more non-committal than a Tinder date who's just seeing where things go. It's almost poetic, in a tragic, facepalm-inducing sort of way. And Fraser's solution, Britain should state clearly that America should talk to Denmark collaboratively, respect the NATO framework, and not go rogue. Revolutionary stuff, really. Novel concepts like diplomacy and not invading your friends. The bar is literally underground at this point.
The reality is this Greenland situation is a test case for the entire Western alliance. If America can openly threaten military action against a NATO ally without serious pushback, what does NATO even mean anymore? What are these alliances worth? And if Britain can't find its voice on something this clear-cut, defending a fellow democracy from potential invasion, what does that say about our place in the world? Thanks for watching today's journey through Britain's diplomatic contortions. It's been an absolute ride, hasn't it? See you in the next one.